Hey everybody, Patrick here from Purposeful Armament. Today I just wanted to make a video going into a little bit more detail on something that Jacob and I have been toying around with for quite some time. And we really just want to get feedback, see what people think, but also kind of expand on our ideas. So, probably by the time that you're seeing this, you may have been contacted by us, or you may have seen some other little feeler content of us talking about opening up a shooting sports complex. Now, in this video, I want to talk about kind of why, how, what the facility is going to look like, how you can help, all of that kind of fun stuff. So we'll get at it. So this, like I said, has been something that has been toyed around with a lot. About a year ago, little over a year ago, I released a video called How to Find the Right Shooting Range, or a perfect shooting range, or whatever it was. It was how to find a shooting range. And I stand behind basically everything I said in that video. I think it was all valid things to look for, but I realized that I was still falling short on what I wanted for a shooting range and what I think people should have access to for shooting ranges. In the South Central Indiana area, there's not a ton of facilities that allow for the kind of training that I think should be pushed in the 2A community. Number one, you have a lot of shooting ranges all across the nation, basically, but you have a lot of shooting ranges that are indoor or outdoor bay shooting lanes. What I mean by that is basically you have a small little box that you stand in. It's like about the size of a person and a half. Not a whole lot of room. You can't practice movement. You oftentimes cannot draw from a holster. You oftentimes cannot do rapid fire. It's very restrictive, and it's just not really that great of an experience. Now, it's not all bad. It's not the worst thing that you could possibly go. I mean, not shooting is worse, right? But it's not an ideal situation to be in. There are some places where they don't necessarily fit that mold. Maybe they allow certain things that I mentioned, but for the most part, they're not really that great. There also are some shooting ranges that are actually really, really nice, but oftentimes they are private or they're extraordinarily busy. Some that I can think of, I'm not going to name names, as I don't want this video to be like I don't want to make this video like a hit piece. I kind of just want to give my opinion. So I think most importantly, you have, there are some nice ranges. One of them is, you've probably seen some content from, and it's very nice, but it's a very strict, stringent membership. They only allow a little over 500 members. And like, for instance, in 2025, they didn't allow any new members whatsoever. So it's very gated, it's very closed off. You really have to know someone to be able to get into it. And that, in my opinion, is kind of gatekeeping and just not super ideal for what we want to do and what we want to promote. Other shooting ranges that have really nice facilities also, but they're extremely busy. One particular place that I know exists is really nice. It's a wonderful shooting range, but they have competitions nearly weekly, and so you have to like plan your training time around the competition. And like, you know, I know you can go shoot the competition, but you know, you're gonna go spend 4 hours shooting a competition where you're gonna shoot 200 rounds. It's just, it doesn't bode well for a lot of people. And that's really what I've run into. Now, there are some shooting ranges that, in my opinion, I don't think are managed super well. And that might be harsh, but like, the shooting range that I shoot at primarily now is an okay shooting range. It's not bad, but the way that it's set up is just not conducive to having a good time shooting. Like, it just, there's one range and everyone shares the one range. So you very much have to, like, if somebody shows up and they're shooting pistols that day, well, guess what you're shooting? You're shooting pistols, or you're shooting a rifle at pistol ranges. And it's kind of lame. And you can work around people, but like, you're going to have big bouts of time where you're not doing anything because you're waiting for someone else to finish. So I've even gone there and had to wait for over an hour while people were zeroing their guns. And not to mention all of that, there's also training at this place too, and that's fine. You know, people can do this training, but like, you're teaching a class and you have to work around all of these other random people who are just showing up, and it's like, there's a lot of people stepping on each other, and I think it caps and it limits how much progression you can make in terms of business. So enough yapping about what I don't like. What is this shooting facility going to be? Where is it going to be at? All that fun stuff. So we mean a shooting sports complex. And what that means, it's just a type of range. And it's a lot easier to say that as opposed to bays. So whenever I say bays, I mean 180 degree bays. So you can shoot 180 degrees. That's really cool. That's what we want to encompass. That's what we want to embody. Now that does a couple of great things. These shooting bays give you the ability to shoot in 180 degrees and get into a more realistic shooting style. You're able to engage targets that are not just in front of you, but off to your sides. You get better target transitions. And most importantly, you get a lot more efficiently ran range. If somebody shows up and they want to zero a rifle, they can go to an empty bay and zero the rifle. And it doesn't inhibit anyone else's shooting. So multiple people can be shooting in multiple different ways at the same time. And that's the beauty of it. That's, aside from competitions, aside from competing, that's the beauty of having bays, is that you can have multiple people firing at the same time, doing their own separate things, doing their own different things. So you're not beholden to what someone else is doing. So if you show up to the range and there's a bunch of people shooting pistol, I'll just go to the next bay and I'll shoot rifle. That's first and foremost. We do also intend to allow, competitions to be ran. Running a competition every weekend is a lot of work, and I'm already incredibly busy as it is with the things that we're doing for PA and my personal life. So I don't feel the need for myself to run competitions weekly, but given that there's room, that is a possibility as well. We want to host Tennessee Brutality at this range, which is, funny enough, actually, we're trying to get in South Central Indiana. So it might become Indiana Brutality. But either way, having these facilities it makes a better shooting experience. And I think it'll just be better for everyone involved. You'll get to have more effective training. You'll get to have more opportunities when training. You'll get to have access to cooler training, to cooler shooting. You'll get access to, train and practice for competitions, to shoot competitions, and to just overall have a much better experience at the shooting range. So, like I mentioned, South Central Indiana, we're not entirely sure where exactly we're going to have this at yet, but we're also not even sure if this is going to happen. The way that you can help make this reality is actually by clicking the link in the description and going down to our Google form and filling it out. This will allow us to go to investors and people who have capital. Unfortunately, I know. I wish that we didn't have to, but the amount of money that we would have to generate for the land that we want, as well as the amount of money we'd have to generate to actually convert that land into the shooting range, buy targets, buy steel, buy and or build walls, buy and or build barricades and barrels and all that fun stuff that makes the range fun and makes it unique and challenging and interactive. It's a lot of money. So being able to go to someone and say, hey, here's our idea. We're going to do all the work. We have everything mapped out. This is exactly what we want to do. And we have X number of people who are already interested in becoming members. That's a lot easier of a sell. So as much as I appreciate everyone around the world who supports our content, please only sign this if you're genuinely considering actually coming to a range like this. Now, how is the range actually going to look? Again, like I said, Acreage is kind of hard to measure, location is kind of hard to measure, but we want to have a handful of pistol bays, a handful of rifle bays, a long-range rifle range, or just a long range in general, at least 300 yards, if not longer. And I think that's pretty much it. Check on the forum what stuff you're more interested in. If like no one's interested in longer range stuff, then maybe we could just make bays and instead of that longer range. I don't know, but we really want this to be kind of a one-stop shop for people. If you have feedback, absolutely, we would love to hear it. Gauging that interest to be able to show an investor that, hey, this is something that people want, I think it'll be great. So, like I said, if that's you, fill out the form. If you don't want to fill out the form for whatever reason, please send us an email to support@purposefularmament.com or info@purposefularmament.com, and we'll get your name on the list. Thank you guys for the support. I hope that we can bring something like this to the community to elevate training. And I will see you guys in the next video. Remember, stay armed.